Ivan Daigle, thank you for joining me today from your home in New Brunswick.
Thank you.
You must
Thank you for having me.
You must be very excited. I mean, this is incredible what's happening with Canada's Got Talent.
Oh, it's just been off the rails. I've been just, believe it or not, and Rebecca, you and I have known each other for a couple of years, or a few years rather, and I find myself almost speechless trying to tell people, you know, how I feel, because it's just I'm in absolute awe. I'm mumbling and I'm stammering and I'm stuttering and I'm making up words as I go along, because I don't think stammering or stuttering is a real word.
Well, you certainly didn't do any of that in your audition that we saw the other night. I mean, that was amazing. You blew the judges away. Obviously, they were all very moved. Tell me why you chose to sing Brett Eldridge's "Raymond" as your audition song.
The song "Raymond," I actually, I don't know if stumbled upon is the right word. But I left Petitcodiac, which is where I live, and we were heading to Moncton, or I should say I was heading to Moncton by myself, and heard only the line, "She calls me Raymond," and I reached for the volume and just turned it up, and just something about the way the delivery came out, I just instinctively reached over and turned it up. And listened to, I guess it would have been the first chorus, and then listened to the rest of it. And by the time he got to to about maybe a minute before the end, I had actually pulled over to the side of the road so that I wouldn't be distracted. And that has only happened a handful of times.
Well, how did you know that this song was the one that you wanted to go with on stage that night? I mean, you must have had a few different songs running through your head and ideas. How did you choose that one?
To be honest, I don't know if the word deliberated is the right word, but for lack of a better term, we agonized over which song to do. And it was really all about making sure that, you know, some artists, you hear them sing, and there are certain ways that they sing, or certain, let's say, vocal, just special little things that they do when they sing. And I had performed the song "Raymond" probably over the last year, and had always gotten a very positive response. So Bonnie and I sat down and we were trying to figure out, well, I've only got 90 seconds, so I really have to take probably the most powerful song that I've heard in recent memory. Hopefully, you know, people were going to be at least semi-familiar with it. The song actually did not do well on Canadian radio, unfortunately. But when I first heard it, again, I just knew that it was something that I wanted to learn, because I'm very much into the story of the song from a complete and from a writer's perspective. From time to time, I'll hear a song and the words "perfectly written" come out of my mouth. Somebody asks, "Well, why did you pick that song?" Because it's one of those few songs that's perfectly written. And it just, from the beginning, from the first line where it says, "I work down at Ashbury Hills," and it kind of drew me in, because I wasn't sure what he was referring to. But as soon as he gets to the "She calls me Raymond, and she thinks I'm her son," I just thinking about it, I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, and you gave the judges goosebumps. They were so impressed with that tune, and that's obviously, I mean, it shows you how important the choice of your song is when you do those kinds of auditions.
I think so as well. We had kind of deliberated over, you know, should I do an original song and maybe show my chops as a songwriter. I've got what I feel are you know, the best songs I've ever written over the last couple of years. I've been affiliated with a songwriter by the name of Larry Wayne Clark, and Larry has, you know, he was in Nashville for 20 plus years. He's returned to Canada just in the last couple, and we became, you know, we were introduced through a mutual friend, and have been writing together ever since. And yeah, it was really just a matter of picking the right song. So I figured, as opposed to trying something that I wrote, we're going to kind of go a different route. And yeah, just that's what we ended up picking. And I really think that the fact that I was able to talk about the song even for a few seconds prior to doing it was very instrumental in the reaction. But to walk out on that stage and having people cheer, and I just started talking, and the judges asked, "What are you going to be doing?" And I told them, and then little Q&A at the beginning, and little
And
Q&A.
you were funny.
And,
You were funny.
oh, that's just me in show off mode. And on stage, that really is what it's all about. And maybe show off was the wrong word, but it's really all about getting a reaction out of people.
Well, you yourself had some tears at the end. Now, were the tears because of the song itself, or was that because of just looking around and realizing where you were?
I think it was a combination of many things. You know, first of all, it was a long day. We got there at 10 in the morning, and by the time I got up on stage, it was beyond 10 o'clock at night. So it was a lengthy day. It was a drive from Petitcodiac to Halifax, which is a couple and a half hours. So that, you know, I mean, a lot of things, you know, come into play. The reaction from the crowd was just chart busting.
Yeah, it was great. Standing ovation.
I still can't get over that.
So how, I mean, I know that this is just beginning for you, Ivan, but I mean, things must have changed already. I did notice, I'm sure, on Facebook that you had about 130 Facebook friend ads the other day in one day. So, I mean, there must be some changes that are starting to happen already just from the exposure you've had so far.
Well, I mean, you know, it provided you and I with talking again. That's just one example.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I've been flooded with interview requests, but there have been a few. But yeah, we've been contacted by several papers across the country, and the response, I think, it's just been overwhelming. We've had people as far away as Vancouver, and as close as within the village that we live in. And, you know, all the way to Newfoundland. I have somebody from California actually saw the performance, and all of a sudden I'm on his Twitter account, and it's just been overwhelming. I mean, I wish I could think of a better word, but it's just amazing.
Ivan is speechless. It is hard to believe.
Believe it or not, it's like ripples.
Well, Ivan, you know how happy I am for you and how much I wish you all the best in the world with this. It's very exciting, and it's just the beginning, I'm sure, of many, many good things to come for you. You've worked so hard for so long, so you deserve this. So congratulations, and we're rooting for you, and I'll be watching every week.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I work down at Ashbury Hills. Minimum wage, but it pays the bills. Cleaning floors, leading hymns on Sunday. Catherine Davis, room 303. Sweetest soul you ever could meet. I bring her morning coffee every day. She calls me Raymond. She thinks I'm her son. Tells me get washed up for supper before your daddy gets home. She goes on about the weather, how she can't believe it's already 1943. She calls me Raymond, and that's alright by me. She talks about clothes on the line, summer air, Christmas morning and Thanksgiving prayers, and stories of a family I never had. Sometimes I find myself wishing I'd been there when she calls me Raymond. She thinks I'm her son. Tells me get washed up for supper before your daddy gets home. She goes on about the weather, how she can't believe it's already 1943. She calls me Raymond, that's alright by me. There's a small white
Cross in Arlington. Reads a Raymond Davis 71 till she can see his face again. I'm gonna fill in the best I can. When she calls me Raymond, she thinks I'm her son. Tells me get washed up for supper before your daddy gets home. She goes on about the weather, how she can't believe it's already 1943. She calls me Raymond, that's alright by me. She calls me Raymond, that's alright